Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 976. I had the white pieces and started off with c4, the English opening. It goes knight f6, a very common move, the move I play myself, just kind of a waiting move to see what white will play, but also it is taking a look at this e4 square and stopping me from playing e4 immediately. So I go knight f3 here. Usually I play knight c3 actually, the third choice here. This allows me to go for the Botvinnik setup because in the Botvinnik setup this knight comes to e2. But to change it up, I guess I played knight f3 this time. He played c5. So we've got a symmetrical English here. I go knight c3 now. He goes e6, top choice. So all very normal moves up to this point. Play g3, plays knight c6, and I bring my bishop out. So this is a point where we start to get into unusual territory. The standard move here would be d5. I would take, and he has a choice actually of taking back with either the knight or the pawn. It looks like taking with the knight is slightly more popular. And here I have a choice between castling or playing d4 immediately. After castling, d4 is probably a move I'll get in pretty quick, open up a diagonal for this bishop and challenge the center a little bit. So anyway, it looks like a fine position for both sides, so nothing has gone wrong there. Interesting play. So b6, it looks wrong on the face of it to open up this diagonal. But on the other hand, there doesn't seem to be any big way to exploit it. The chess engine thought d4 was one of the top choices. It also recommended just castling or knight to e5, I believe. So yeah, knight e5 is an interesting one. That's maybe the most direct move here. Just put pressure on that knight, but he can defend with bishop b2. So I went with d4. That was, like I said, one of the top choices. I thought maybe he shouldn't take here, but in fact he could. I'd take back with pressure on the knight, but once again he can just go bishop b7 and defend it. And it seems like this is still playable for black. So although that b6 move looks kind of weird, seems like he can hold on in this position. But this second move he played here, after b6, he played bishop b7. This was an actual mistake. I thought about playing d5 here during the game, and I decided against it, but I was wrong. d5 is actually very strong here. Let's show what I missed. So first of all, I thought he was going to take. I would take, and then he would attack the pawn, but I can just play e4 here, defending the pawn, and you know, this knight is in a weird position. His pawn structure looks kind of strange, and his bishop is shut in. So the chess engine just says white is winning here. So that's what I should have done. In fact, the chess engine says after I play d5, he shouldn't even take. He should just move his knight over to the side and attack my c-pawn, after which I can bring my knight to d2, defending here, and I've got bishop and knight defending here, and looks like it's all good for me. I still have the move e4 in there, so once again a strong position for white. So I really should have played d5 there, and that would have been the way to refute my opponent's play. Anyway, I castled first, which is, you know, I'm always kind of have a tendency to want to castle before I start opening things up in the center. And right here, you know, we were out of the opening book for a while, but actually we could get back into the opening book if he would just take the pawn. And it really makes sense to do that at this point. He's all set up for it. I can take back, he can take, I can take, and he can take, and I can grab this pawn. And we'll get to this situation where I was kind of talking about something similar I imagine happening. He's got two pawns in the center, and I only have one center pawn, but I have the c-pawn always already up here looking at the d5 square, and he still hasn't castled yet. He can develop his bishop with tempo, I guess, against my queen. So anyway, this still seems to be a playable position for black. Instead, what he did at this point, after I played, after I castled, yeah, instead of, yeah, I castled. Instead of taking, he played d5. At that point, we really are out of the book. And this kind of gives me a second chance to do some stuff in the center and leaves me with a pretty big edge here. So I take, he takes, and I play e4. And this is a good move. He should really take the knight here. This is a pretty standard response. You want to try and weaken the center and keep taking. And oh, instead of taking right away, bishop to e7 was better actually in this position, so that he can castle. So I take that back. You don't keep taking, although maybe after you get castled, then you continue taking. But after this exchange, I'll be left with a weak d pawn that black can play against. So I think that is still a playable position. But after e4, he went knight d to b4, and he starts getting into real trouble, because now I finally hit on that d5 idea. I recognize that I should just play it. I didn't. I still, during the game, I still couldn't calculate this, and I was thinking about playing a move like a3, but that would be bad. Well, I mean, it's not bad, but it just doesn't. It gives up my chance to play d5 once again. So let's see. He could take. This is the line I was talking about during the game. Actually, he could take. I could take. He could take. I take back, and then he could trade queens. And you know, maybe I still have some slight edge, but basically, black is out of trouble here and is probably going to get castled, or maybe won't even need to castle. He just needs to find a way to get his kingside pieces into the game. So I still have a slight edge in development, but no great claim to center control. And black can still play this position. But instead, yeah, he went, instead of... oh, yeah. So that would be if I played a3 there. But instead, I recognize, which I was planning to play, but instead I recognize actually d5 is the stronger move here. And he just ran away with his knight. Maybe better would be to put the knight here. There would be some exchanges. And he's still got a weirdly placed knight here, but so white still has an advantage, but maybe that's better than what happened in the game. He went here to knight a5, and now I play a3, kicking this knight when it has no good square to go to. Drops back to a6, and I played queen a4 check. So that did turn out to be the best move here. So I was doing okay at this point, winning, and he blocked. And now I was thinking about this move, knight b5, but I just was not sure. I mean, there's this threat of the knight coming in here with check. So, for example, actually, if he plays knight c7, I can just take it because his queen is pinned and it comes with check. After the king moves, I can trade queens and grab the rook. So that's just really strong. He could castle queenside to get out of trouble, but then I could play a move like b4. And that just busts things open on the queen side here. He's still underdeveloped, and his pieces are awkwardly placed, and this is just a winning position for white, so I'd be breaking through. So knight b5, a move I thought about, I really should have played. Instead I traded queens, which is still winning for me, so this was a good move. And I find some nice moves later, so rook d1 is nice, sets up potential threats against his king. Let's see, he starts to try and... oh, he tries to create some trouble with knight b3. So this is a point where I find two really good moves in a row. I don't immediately react to the threat. You know, he's threatening to take my rook in the corner, which would win a whole rook, or just trade off my bishop. But I can make this move because it's with check. And in fact, it's a double check, so the king has to move. And, you know, kind of the most logical move is to take the pawn. And then I can develop this piece with check. And this chases the king to a dark square, which is nice because now I could develop the bishop with check. And that would be, in fact, that would lead to a mate, as happened in the game. So that would be the nice way to finish this. But I was still worried about his knight over here, and I failed to see that I could develop the bishop with check until after I had played rook b8. After I played rook b1, I said, oh, I could have developed that bishop with check. And that would have been a good move, even if there weren't a mate there. Because, you know, it's just getting me out of trouble with tempo and getting my pieces developed. So anyway, the previous two moves, followed by bishop g5, are nice examples of not not responding to your opponent's threats when you have a bigger threat you can make, and you can use that to develop. So it's a good example of how to play chess. And then then this rook b1 is not such a great example. Anyway, I really expected him to grab my bishop here, but he played bishop e7 instead, and he gave me a second chance to play this bishop g5 check move. He went here, and now there's just a forced mate. In fact, it was a forced mate from bishop g5 check on. I didn't play it, but it happens later in the game. I took here first because I figured I'm just winning with the material, and I didn't notice the mate. He played rook h to e1, and now I noticed that this piece can come in with check. King goes here. I can put the pawn forward with check, and the king goes back, has to go back because the knight is covering these squares. And then I can bring this bishop back to g5, and that is mate. So a pretty mate with the minor pieces and the king on the side of the board. And notice black's pieces, they all got pushed to the other side, and his king is all alone over here. So fun game. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.